up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Sports Insider, everything sports, everything Buffalo. Before we get started, make sure you're checking for notifications on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, of course, our website, Buffalo Sports Insider, for weekly articles on the Bills and Sabres. My name's Colton Pankwitz. I'm very fortunate to be joined by Justin Sajak, KJ Zalazinski, and Thomas Bailey. Guys, let's get started. Let's do it. Let's talk football.
Let's go.
Let's talk football. I'm down. You kick it off.
A rejoiceful Bills win at home against Tampa Bay, a game they should have won and did, of course. Started off hot, which is something, we haven't been able to say very, very often recently, but kind of sizzled out at the end. Nonetheless, 24-18 win, and it's tough to win in the NFL. What do we think?
I've always said, right? I mean, for at least for this season, it's the first drive that makes the game, man. Like if the Bills don't get any points on their first drive, the game is very up in the air. But again, the Bills come out pretty hot, and Josh Allen slinging the football like Josh Allen does, and everybody's kind of getting involved. So I was very happy to see that change, and it feels like a good return to form again, despite the fourth quarter and everything that happened there.
It's exciting to see them get back in the win column, of course. Obviously the end got a little sketchy there, but it's exciting to see the offense kind of take a new approach as opposed to the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You see a couple new guys getting more involved in the offense, more just absolute meshing together overall by the offense. It was exciting to see. That's a good Tampa Bay defense. I was impressed with the beginning of the game.
Yeah, man, I really, to kind of piggyback off of all of you guys' thoughts there, I thought, we kind of dominated this game a lot more than the score indicates. They got a couple, a few too many chances right there at the end of the game. The penalties killed us right there on those last couple, that last drive. Yeah. But they ultimately did themselves in. That drive took way too long, and they know that. But besides the point, because, players like Shakir with 6 receptions, 92 yards, and 5 for 65 for Kincaid, his first touchdown. Things like that are really important to see. They kind of loosen the chains on Josh Allen, let him do what he's getting back to doing, and it led to a win.
Yeah, 100% agree. Actually, I wanted to open up with a Josh Allen segment. What did we feel about them letting him obviously use his athletic ability and his legs to kind of extend drives? And
it's so important that they allow him to do that, right? This is the Josh Allen we've expected. This is the narrative that is Josh Allen, right? People love to call Lamar a running back, but Josh Allen runs the ball just as much. And then you kind of see him put the training wheels on him early on in the season. I don't know. I don't really understand that one. I mean, I understand it from an injury perspective, but you can't take away one of the superstar in the NFL, one of his best abilities, and expect things to stay the same.
I agree with you. I think the last highest number of rushes or something, or the yardage that he gained from rushing, was the Jets game. It was just interesting to kind of reflect on that, what made Josh change. And obviously they lost that one against a team that was led by Zach Wilson. So it's just, kind of interesting to see him come back. But again, there's success in it. So it's hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, like
but yeah, again, just really good, especially again, Bills Mafia always on Twitter just saying, let Josh be Josh, get him back. We want the old Josh, and it seemed like he showed up in the game. Yeah,
it makes a ton of sense to let Allen just be him. I can't tell you how many times this season we've seen the third down and 6 or 5, and he has the chance to run and he just tries to force something in there.
Yeah,
it ends up into a 3 and out, something like that, and we fall behind in games like that. Look at the Jags game, primary example. Trying to force the ball downfield too much. Things like that are just not Josh Allen football. And we know that. So now that Dorsey's finally loosening up on him, letting him be back to his old self, it's starting to translate better for the team.
Kind of to add on the point, I'd like to see Dorsey kind of incorporate some more option plays in as well. We don't see very many real options in this 2023 offense. Maybe some shovels. Obviously the reads. There was
that one. I was saying there was the one to Kincaid under.
Yeah,
real nice.
It was
real
an
nice.
inch away from the end zone, but even more so focused on Josh. And maybe you get the Deontay Hardy into the backfield as well as James Cook. You've got a lot of guys who can move, make people miss. Get Josh more involved in the run game. I like what I saw against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and I think if the Bills see themselves winning a Super Bowl, I think to win that Super Bowl, it's going to take Josh Allen's legs. You have a dual threat quarterback. You have to use him as such. I do understand it is a long-term commitment to him. Right. Obviously, you don't want to see anything happen to him, but I mean, you get sacked in the pocket and get hurt. You can, exactly. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles dropping back. Like there's so many things that you can't control.
It's football.
And I think
How
if you
it
want to
goes,
win
man.
games, Josh Allen's gonna have to run the ball, and he did. 41 rushing yards. That Jets game, I think, he had like 36.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that should be a season high. But my next thought, and Thomas kind of got into it, what do you think about the inclusion of Shakir into the game plan and
Dude.
kind of foreseeing what Dalton Kincaid has to bring to the table?
Yeah, they need that every week, and not
Yes.
even,
Oh, yeah.
not even, not even
Most
just
definitely.
those guys, but Gabe Davis steps up.
Yeah,
every week.
100%.
He's stacking some good games. It's very important for these guys to, I wouldn't even say win their one-on-ones, but to get schemed into the game plan, because you see how the offense meshes way
Mhm.
better with more guys getting involved instead of Stephon Diggs 15 targets, right? We know Howard Simon said that he loves Stephon Diggs getting a lot of targets, and I love it too. But we need these guys to and everyone needs to get involved. That's just the best way to get the offense going.
It's good to see Shakir back too after a pretty
Oh, yeah.
lackluster preseason where, I mean, like, I felt like coming into the season, despite picking up like Sherfield and all that, you're like, okay, Shakir's a pretty solid lock on the roster. And then, preseason, you're like, oh man, is he like, his
Yeah,
job
who
might be up.
knows?
So
If Justin Shorter doesn't get hurt, who knows?
exactly, like he might be there. So it's good to see him back in. I mean, he was really shining too. So good to see him there, but also Dalton Kincaid. I think with Dawson Knox also being, again, kind of knocked off the block and having his wrist surgery timetable is still unknown. Or
Yeah, I don't
At
think
least
they've
the next
come
3
forward.
games because
Yeah,
he's on the IR.
yeah. So good to see them kind of move into more like the 11 personnel setup that we're used to seeing for the Buffalo Bills, and that got Kincaid more involved, and he definitely had, I think, his best game of the season.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of that, I thought Shakir was going to have like an expanded role this year, kind of similar to what we saw with Gabe Davis in year 2. So I was hoping for that because Shakir really did show some flashes last year, and it's fun to see him get involved because getting that extra element just makes it so much like less stressful for players like Diggs to perform on a nightly basis. It's difficult in the NFL, especially when they think that there's really only 2 things. It's either Allen's going to throw it to Diggs or Allen's going to hand it off.
Yeah,
And that's the problem is when you have when you have an offense that's that one-dimensional, you kind of have to find a way to make it less like that. And they kind of did that perfectly in this game, and it really did translate to the victory.
Yeah, and I think Shakir's a great run blocker, and the Bills think he's a great run blocker, and so that alone has gotten him some snaps.
Yards after catch.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But to game plan him in early, I thought kind of made the offense two-dimensional in the sense that, Diggs is, of course, the first look, but Josh was getting the ball out quick to Shakir, to Davis, to Kincaid early. And then, if teams start shading the opposite way of Diggs, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Come on.
He's gonna
yeah,
be.
exactly.
And then Kincaid, on the other hand, he wasn't running, 3 and 4 yard ins and outs
Yeah, thank God.
this game.
Yeah, so I'm
so
like,
tired of
He was
Yeah.
doing
Oh,
what
yeah,
he
dude.
did best in college, and he was kind of open in that middle. I don't want to compare it to Travis Kelce, but the role that Travis Kelce has, where he just kind of
Spatial
finds
awareness.
space. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And again, talking about yards after catch with Shakir, Kincaid showed that as well. I loved what I saw, and especially that play where the play kind of breaks down and Kincaid kind of locks eyes with Josh. He's like, oh, he wants me to go to the sideline. He turns around and comes down with a great ball on the sideline, and that was a broken play. And that just shows you the bond they're starting to form, and that's gonna be big for the Bills down the stretch here.
Yeah, another broken play too
Yeah.
was the touchdown.
Right.
Levante David comes down, Allen sees him there, hits him, and then the yak after that as well.
Yeah, and what do we think about not playing all 60 minutes? Obviously, it seemed like McDermott got a little not comfortable, but was playing with a lead, and it almost came back to bite him.
Yeah, like I said, it was funny because I had the chance to live tweet on our account. I'll obviously go follow that, but I make the joke like Sam Martin's out for the first time and monster punt, really good, and he comes out for a second time. It's the third time, and I'm like, all right. Like I love Sam Martin as much as the next guy, but like. And when you start to see over and over, you're like, okay, we need to not relax.
Yeah,
The game was not over.
And fourth and 1 at the opposing 45. You can't go into a shell.
Yeah.
And then
Agreed.
lastly, okay, we're gonna get past the game. Trade deadlines tomorrow. Is there
yes.
anything we want to see the Bills pursue, or are we gonna see Elam in a different uniform?
There's 3 positions, and it's the big 3 that we've gone down at, right? Linebacker, cornerback, and interior defensive lineman.
Always, man.
I think those
especially
are the
with the
positions that are going
injuries.
to be key to our defense, especially just having overall depth. There's a couple of guys that are on the market right now. Obviously, Jalen Johnson's the hot name right now from the Bears. Young player playing great football right now. But I would imagine it would take a bit, probably a 2 or a 3 to at least bring him to Buffalo. And then Levi Wallace, who has recently been benched for Joey Porter, the rookie out of Penn State in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they did announce that.
They announced that today,
Yep.
and I don't know. I'd be comfortable with bringing back Levi Wallace into the system.
He's comfortable with the scheme, so yeah, it makes a lot of sense for that. And that kind of segues for me, like for Kaiir Elam, what do you guys think? Like I've heard a lot of reports, a late round pick is probably the best we're gonna get. Like talking 6, 7 here, probably. How do you guys feel about that?
If it's the right team, I think you get a 5.
I think they get a 5. I think their best bet would be like Elam for Levi Wallace, and the Bills give a 6 and get a 4th or something along those lines. His name alone doesn't carry too much, but he's a first-round pick. He's athletic. He just doesn't fit the scheme.
Hey, that's what I was gonna say is that you
doesn't.
can get value out of him. Like he's a really good player. Obviously, he's a first-round pick. It's like he's not just up there for no reason. But yeah, it just doesn't really fit the Bills' scheme. But I mean, anywhere else.
I remember when he got drafted, I was like, okay, here we go. The Bills are going to finally shift to a man coverage look.
Yeah, that's what I thought
we did
too.
not
Because
see
if you look at Florida, their defense when Elam was there, they didn't have a nickel corner.
Yeah.
They never had that nickel guy. He's not used to playing nickel. He played dime his whole career at college. So like things like that make it difficult for him to adjust to the scheme. And it's just especially at a position like corner, I feel like corner and linemen are really difficult to shift like plays.
Yeah.
I think that's the big issue.
Yeah, and then one last name I'll throw in there before we get on to our bowl segment, Harrison Phillips. I would love
Get Harry back.
Harrison Phillips back in
I miss
Buffalo.
that man. I miss that
I
man.
like Josie.
I think they.
Okay.
I need kind of one tech. I think the Bills got away. I think the Bucs run game is horrible,
Mhm.
and so we didn't get exposed. But anytime we've played a really good running back or a really good run scheme, we've struggled.
Joe
Especially
Mixon's going to be a challenge.
exactly.
Mhm.
So he just had his best game of the season. We're going into Cincinnati. I would really like to see the Bills address that position before it's too late in the season and
Agreed.
you're out of answers. But anyways, we're gonna get into the bowl segment. All right, UB
let's
Bulls.
talk.
Big game this week.
Against
Toledo.
a very good Toledo team.
Yeah,
arguably
the best team in the
7-1.
conference.
Exactly. Which is really it's really I mean, like looking at the conference standings, like I said, the Bulls right now are second in their division, which is crazy because they opened up the season with 4 straight losses and like
including that really sad one against Fordham.
exactly.
Comeback.
I mean, you have a Kent State team that is not great. Kent State and Akron, I think, are both
Around the
0
same.
Yeah, they're both 1-7, I think.
Yeah,
or-
something.
Don't
somewhere
quote me
around
on
there.
that. They're both
So-
pretty bad though.
Yeah, so it's just really mind bending to think that they're up there. But that aside, I mean, matching up against Toledo, kind of what are we expecting in this game here?
I mean, every team in the MAC struggled against Toledo. They've won 7 straight. They have this running back Boone who has 865 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And the Bulls defense has been better as of late, but it's a tough task.
Yeah.
And they haven't done well against the run or the pass, but there's been improvement. That hill might be a little too big to climb.
No, I agree. I think again, it really is a tall task, and this team is definitely just. I mean, they're heating up.
Yeah.
But it's like, how far can you really take it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Toledo. I'm not gonna say pure domination, but
Right.
somewhere along the lines. I don't see it being too close, but
No.
I mean,
anything's
the Bulls just
possible.
lack a star.
yeah.
They really do. Yeah.
The last-
Exactly.
The last 3 Toledo games, they've put up 41, 35, and 49.
Mm.
Against his
Now,
defense,
now,
that's
granted,
Yeah.
granted, the Bulls have put up 37, 13, and 38. I think, I don't know, man. That's tough. And they're letting up over 180 yards on the ground per game against a team
Yeah.
that knows how to run the ball and does so well. And it's not like they can't pass because they absolutely can.
Mhm.
Finn, their quarterback, has almost 1,500 yards in the season, almost a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Yep.
And they can play. And they've played with, everyone they've played with so far, 7 straight, most recently against Western Michigan. And that was a 3-score game. So I don't know what to expect, but
oh well. I guess like I said, well, we'll see. Kind of as
Saturday.
yeah, it's true. That's
Yes,
true.
sir.
Anything
Any
can
given
happen.
Saturday.
Yep.
I can't see Boone not eating, and even if that is the case, I think the play action game is going to hurt even more, especially
Really?
with the threat of Boone running. We're probably going to see a lot of the people in the box there, but we'll figure that all out on Saturday.
Absolutely.
College football as a whole has just been kind of weird this year. It
Oh,
feels like
yeah.
any team
It really has
can
been.
fall. Any
One of the
week.
weirdest of my lifetime.
Even like the blue bloods, like Georgia and
Mhm.
Ohio
Yeah,
State,
the-
even those guys. Like, I
Like,
mean,
look at Oklahoma.
Michigan.
Didn't they lose to Kansas?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
Kansas comes out, they threw the field goal post into the lake.
yeah, man. Rowdy.
Exactly.
College is rowdy,
Yeah.
man.
Bulls last 3 or 4. I'm intrigued to see what happens, but that's a tough one. All right. So next up, let's talk hockey.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
talk.
let's do
let's
it.
talk Sabres. Devils Avalanche last 2 games. A loss, a win. We're gonna get Sarah in.
Get Sarah in here.
Yeah.
Get Sarah in
Sarah
here.
Terrio.
We're ready for
get
Sarah
in the
Terrio.
camp.
Yeah.
Come on.
We good. We
We're
good.
Just
We figured this one out.
So we're coming off a 5-4 loss against New Jersey. You guys, tell me about it.
I mean, anytime you put 4 goals in the net, you want to win the game. It's just
Oh, yeah.
poor defense and poor goaltending by the Sabres. I mean, the Devils are electric. We know that. Jack Hughes is one of the best players in the NHL right now. You got to come away with that one. I mean, you start off great. You start off early. I think they got to come away with that one. They make it up in the next game, but still, I'd like to see the Sabres come away with that one against the Devils.
Yeah, man. I kind of put that one more on the defense. You know, Comrie getting injured in the second period. It's a little hard
That's
to
so
come back
tough.
from. Like, if you look at the first goal Luukkonen gave up, which was the Howler breakaway,
Yeah.
it just kind of seemed like he was not ready for that play. You know, he kind of got beat way too badly. He tried to lift up the pad, do something miraculous, didn't end up working out for him. It's just, I feel like that defense kind of leaves the goaltender out to dry 90% of the time. It's happened so often.
Yeah, that's been the
Oh, yeah.
theme of the past couple of years. The Sabres have struggled to defend their goaltender in any which way or form. When's the last time you saw a defender kind of bailing out, Comrie or
Doesn't
UPL or
happen
Levi?
much.
The thing I loved is JJ Paterka.
Oh, yeah,
he's
man.
he's on a streak.
He's trending.
I'll
up
talk
now.
about him later, man. No,
Yeah,
we
he's
love
been
Paterka.
electric
He's
for the
been
Sabres.
doing great,
and
man.
then they need that. And anytime you have a young guy blossom into a prominent role, I mean, you're hitting on a pick there. A real early pick. What was he? Was he a late first or early second?
I believe early second.
Early second.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
he
anytime
was a steal.
this guy
Yeah.
has been electric. so far
Everyone
this
said he
year.
was going to be great. He played amazing at juniors. Everyone was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe he wasn't first round pick. And it's kind of crazy to see, but like a lot of people were writing him off after a
Yeah.
couple bad years in Rochester, but now he gets into the team and he's potted 4 this season,
Yeah.
2 in each game in the last, 1 in each game for the last 2.
Yeah.
So he's on that roll.
So they drop one against the Devils. They come back at home
Yeah.
against the Avalanche, and
Roll.
UPL gets his first career shutout.
Yeah.
Now talk to
Yes.
me about that.
I mean, the game was electric, right? And it goes back to the goal heads again.
Yeah, man.
They strike once again with the goal heads. 12-1-1 now.
12-1-1,
Wow,
man.
I mean, and obviously just to start the game off, electric against a really good opponent, the Avalanche. I mean, it's just so nice to see them beat a good team. Like, that's a really good team, the
Yeah.
Avalanche.
Yeah, that defense, man. That defense only gave up 23 shots. I'll
Yeah.
admit, at the beginning of the game, it looked a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here we go again. They left him out to dry, but Luukkonen stuck with it, and I feel
Yeah.
like that actually helped him because that gained his confidence so much. Just to keep him at 0 through 1, especially since that first period was by far their best.
Yeah.
Playing that well, he had so much confidence, and it kind of led to his shutout.
Would you guys say that was his best game of his career?
Yes.
Yes, by far.
Well,
far.
it's just so tough to tell because a lot of last season, I got to be like the Sabres, like I said before, didn't have the bag of any goaltender that was in that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They left him out high and dry high to. Oh, what's that saying? They
Yeah.
didn't do.
They left
They
him out
didn't
high and
support
dry.
him. They did nothing to help them in any
Yeah.
which way or form.
Oh yeah.
And I just think if the Sabres can get out of the first period without letting up a goal early,
Yeah.
Obviously if they don't let up any goals, they're going to win every time.
Yeah.
But if they can just get out of that first, it seemed like the common denominator this year of just struggling to get out of the first 5 or 6 minutes and settle in and play in front of their goaltender.
Yeah.
So to do it in front of UPL, gets his first, shutout, and Jost gets a goal, Paterka gets a goal, Middlestat. Yeah.
Continues
Oh,
that hot
man,
streak.
I love that. And then
That was
Dahlin
that too, man.
has 2 in his
Mids.
last 2 games too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Darlene's gonna.
Alleen's starting to flourish, and
Yeah.
that's fun to see. But like, defensively, he's kind of being a little bit of a liability right now.
Yeah.
It's something that you'd like to see a little bit better of, especially since we're paying him so much money.
Sure. Yeah.
Like forward defense, it's not like we're paying him forward money. And
Do you envision him stepping up his defensive game as the season goes on?
From the last 2 games, Dolly definitely improved from the Devils game because I did not like him at all during the Devils game.
Yeah.
A lot of the goals, I hate to admit, were on him. He completely gave up and left both Comrie and UPL basically up on by himself. But in the Avalanche game, as you saw, he definitely improved more.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding him against the Devils game because I expect more from him after he got an extended contract and as of last year that I know he could do better.
Yeah.
But I'm holding him against for the Devils game for sure.
Do you think that's an effort thing or more of a mental thing?
It seems like an effort thing. Like he was there.
Yeah.
But then the second goal, it was on him because it passed to Samuelson.
Sure.
But Samuelson lost control of the puck and ended up takeaway. But Downlin was right there. He was more than capable to grab the puck or
Right.
get a penalty and do something, but he just stopped and let UPL all up to them for himself. Hence the unassisted goal 2 times, all by Downlin.
I think it was Zach Benson almost potted his first NHL goal.
oh
too.
yeah, kind of a little bit of selfishness there in
Yeah,
that
it was,
Colorado
yeah.
game. But he buried it, so
Yeah.
you can't be too mad,
Right.
obviously. But Benson had a couple looks in that Colorado
Yeah,
game. He had that one on the turnaround right in front, and he got absolutely robbed.
Oh
I
my
was
God,
going
it's so
crazy on that
close,
one,
dude.
man. But he's getting better, and that's what you like to see from a young team like this, to kind of getting that little bit of the swagger back, and that's good to have early on in the season,
Yeah.
especially when you have 82 games.
I will say the one positive I liked out of that Devils game was that Tage Thompson highlight goal.
Ah,
that was
That was
incredible.
smooth. That was
That
so
Devils-
I
smooth.
mean, that's the Tage Thompson I'm accustomed to seeing.
That's what we need to see him do.
Yes.
So now going forward, at least I don't know what the timetable is on Levi, but Comrie's out for
Yeah.
week to
2
week.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
So
few weeks,
it's
man.
right now it's UPL and Cooley. How do you?
Day-to-day.
Yeah, I don't anticipate him being out for too long.
Yeah.
At the same time though,
You don't
know,
want to rush him back. either,
No,
Yeah,
he's a
no,
rookie,
you know,
and it kind of seemed like they just threw him into the fire to start the
yeah.
season.
They
I don't
did.
think they're going to do that again.
No.
He's obviously going to get his fair share, and I think he'll lead in terms of starts and
He
whatever.
started like
but-
the first 5 of the year, 4 or
Yeah,
5,
right.
something like that.
I know,
Like
I
that
know
kind of
Sarah-
workload for
Yeah, I
a
know.
guy that young. And
I
a little
I
much,
didn't think
man.
that was a good idea from the beginning, but I know
Yeah.
Sarah's a big fan of Cooley, so what can we expect from him coming in?
I saw him during preseason with the Bruins, and he looked absolutely amazing. He plays for Americans, and he has a 903. So far, he's undefeated in the goal, and he looks really, really good. He has a lot of common sense for what's going on,
Yeah.
and he looks really good. So I'm very hoping that he gets some time, and not just a backup. But if UPL plays the way that he's playing,
Yeah.
keep him in there. But it all depends on the defense, and if we stick to how we played yesterday, because we absolutely killed it. But
Mhm.
knowing us and our blue and gold, it's
Yeah,
scary.
exactly. I
It's
know
very
you never know.
unsure.
Now, on a scale from like 1 to 10, what is your confidence level with UPL and Cooley back there in that?
I mean, I am about a 6 right
Yeah.
now. And the reason I'm going to say a 6 is because I feel like he doesn't handle the pressure situations all that well. Like, obviously, the Avalanche game, as of right now, that's an outlier.
Mhm.
Like first career NHL shutout, all that fun stuff. Yeah, amazing. But so far this season, he's given up a lot of goals. The Devils game, the other games he's played in, like the Ottawa game, he gave up a lot late, and that's a pressure situation. He was not good in that pressure situation.
Yeah.
He gave up 3 mad late in the game, and when that happens for a young goaltender, especially with a struggling defense out of the gate, I feel like my confidence level is not too great.
Sure. What would you say, Sarah?
I'm balancing between an 8 or 9. When you look at how
Oh, wow.
we played, yeah.
Wow.
Hear me out.
Okay.
When we play with defense, as you saw yesterday against the Avalanche, they're very aggressive. They don't give us much time with the puck. UPL stood his ground, and we got a shutout with Stanley Cup winners and the Avalanche. But then when we don't defense, obviously, UPL is a little here and there,
Yeah.
but then Cooley's also really, really good. As long as we stay defense-wise, I'm very, very confident in our goalies.
Sure.
I just really hope that doesn't come back and bite me.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands, the Sabres are still last in the Atlantic, tied with 8 points with Ottawa and Florida. But I mean, everything
We have the
happens.
longest point streak, though. We're
Yeah,
good,
Yeah,
so.
no, I've seen a lot, better defensively, offensively. I think things are trending upward if they can get over that whole goalie situation. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what happens going forward, guys. Thank you as always for joining us Buffalo Sports Insider, everything sports, everything Buffalo. Stay tuned on Twitter. We have the trade deadline coming up. We're going to be, in check with that. Hockey, stay in tune with our live updates.
Yeah.
But regardless, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe and go Buffalo.